Very, very rare. So I want to just take this opportunity to indulge myself with something that made me smile, if you don't mind. Just Stop Oil. It's very, very rare that I cover their ridiculous antics on this programme, because I do personally believe that when they get up to their ridiculousness, if you just ignore them and you starve them of the oxygen of publicity, then they might pack it in with their antics. So hence, I very rarely cover them. However, something good happened today, at least in my opinion, because 5 Just Stop Oil protesters, including one of its co-founders, they've been sent to jail, everybody. You will remember some of these protests. They wanted to organise the M25, for example, causing massive disruption there. Now, I've got to say, they've got some quite strong sentences here. Many people absolutely crying about it. They think it's absolutely appalling, the sentences they receive. I think it's absolutely fabulous, quite frankly. Kelvin McKenzie, what do you make to it?
Well, I was delighted, and 5 years, and I think 3 of his colleagues got 4 years. This is at Southwark Crown Court, and it's the longest sentence ever for a non-violent protest. So that'll tell you. But you've got to bear in mind, for 4 days, they totally disrupted the M25, caused massive problems, the huge cost of policing. And what the judge said, and I was delighted that there is a judge at Southwark Crown Court who actually knows how to sentence people. After all, he left off 2 Rolex robbers only the day before yesterday, is that he said, you've gone from ordinary peaceful protests, you've become fanatics, and I am going to end this. And the great thing is that this, and I guarantee you this, Chris Packham, right, this is the reason I really enjoy this, is Chris Packham is furious and describes it as a sham, it's a scam. And you know what will happen? On the BBC tonight, it'll be all about Chris Packham weeping buckets of it, and there will be no mention of the people who spent hours and hours on the M25 stranded by this protest.
Tom Buick, what do you think to it?
Well, I do enjoy Chris Packham's Spring Watch or Summer Watch, so hopefully he'll focus more on the television and less on bailing out Extinction Rebellion. I mean, look, we all remember, don't we, some of the disruption that was caused. When I read harrowing stories about one woman, you know, who lost a relative because an ambulance couldn't get through one of these protests. Look, they face justice today. In a democracy, you have a right to protest. I absolutely support that. But you don't have a right to break the law, and you certainly don't have the right to disrupt millions of people, which is what happened over a very long period of time.
I mean, when you look at some of the reaction to this online, I mean, they're calling these people #TheWholeTruth5. And I'm telling you, there's quite a lot of outrage by people who support their antics. Astonishingly severe sentence, says one campaigner here. She says that the judge was completely severe. This was non-violent and absolutely shouldn't have happened. She says, what's happened to free speech? They were trying to protect our planet. They're not violent. They are despairing. That is from Jenny Jones of the Greens there. Dale Vince, you'll be familiar with him. He's absolutely furious about this. He's saying that these peaceful protesters have received the longest ever sentences for non-violent protest, a combined total of 21 years. He says the truth, the whole truth and nothing but cannot exclude the #climate crises. So lots of people completely divided. Here, Just Stop Oil saying that this is outrageous. They've organised petitions and so on and so forth. It really has divided opinion, because there are certain people that literally think the world is about to spontaneously combust, and how we've not all burnt to death already, quite frankly, is a miracle.
Yes, well, the climate change mob from last year, of course, are now been drowned by rain this year. Look, I'm not saying there isn't an argument. All I'm saying is that this argument can't be conducted in this manner. Right? There is a debate about this. We have both sides, actually, of the House who are pretty signed on to climate change and trying to address the issues that we all face through EV and also wind and all the rest of the stuff. But when people start wrecking other people's lives in the name of their protest, then they must expect to go to court. And once you start hearing about 5 years and 4 years, the queue of these people will get smaller. Or if it doesn't, we're going to have to build more jails, which I'm in favour of anyway.
The flip side to this, because there will be many people, Tom, that say, well, hang on a second, because we've got very limited prison space. We're letting people out early already from prison. So then how can this kind of activity be celebrated for sending people to prison? We've got a new Prisons Minister, James Timpson. He's very passionate that not everybody that's in prison should be in prison. He thinks that very few of those people actually should have been sentenced, and he's very passionate about kind of non-jail, I would say punishment, he would perhaps say rehabilitation.
Well, the purpose of prison absolutely should be about rehabilitation, and most prisoners on good behaviour will get out after half their sentence when they go up to the parole board. I suspect the same thing will happen here as well. But the point still stands, and I agree with Calvin on this. If you break the law, if you vandalise the streets, if you prevent people from going about their daily business, then you do have to face the consequences of that, and that's what's clearly happened here.
Dylan, you're quite harsh on the website. You're saying you felt that this was a very light sentence for Just Stop Oil. You're saying that it should have been life in prison. I've got to say, I think that's a bit harsh. I wouldn't agree with that one. One of my, Darryl actually, one of my viewers, he says, Kelvin just described it as non-violent protest, but that's wrong. Free speech, he says, does not mean that you have the right to violate the rights of others. And violent doesn't necessarily mean physical violence against a person. Lots of people, again, you're really, really divided about this. Jane says that it feels to you like people have been let off lightly because of the situation with overcrowding and so on and so forth in the prisons. Do you share that view? Lots of you... One of you now saying, actually, Thomas says, if we're finally imprisoning people for causing severe disruption, can we convict previous politicians for allowing the immigration crisis? You're saying that creates severe disruption.